Happy Friday to you and your loved ones. Thank you so much for making time for This Is the Day. My name is Sarah Otieno. We are live on Family TV and also live on Family Radio, where the music does the talking. So someone was texting me this during the earlier hours of the show on radio, and they told me, Sarah, really, I don't see anything to be happy about this Friday. Well, it is a Furahi day because we are here, we are alive because of the coronavirus that has the very first case that has been reported in our country. I know some of us are not very happy and not in the mood, but yes, we are grateful that we are alive. Ama namna gani? Well, the WhatsApp number to use and contact us from is 0786316316, SMS line 20316, and on Facebook and Twitter, we are at Family Radio 316. So let's get talking. Today being a Friday, we look at some things that have been making headlines, the stories that have been making headlines in our country the entire week, the weekly review. And today in studio, I have James Kabugi. He is a political analyst. And how are you, sir?
How are you?
It's good to see you.
Likewise.
So what do you feel about the first case of corona? Are you scared?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm scared, but it has dispelled the myth that it wasn't affecting us people of African descent.
Yeah.
So it is a shock, definitely, given the WHO had released a report that because of Africa's warmer climatic conditions, that the virus would spread slower than in other, like in the global north or in the global south. So nature had given us a bit more time for us to prepare for the scourge, but thankfully it's only one so far, but it's expected for it to rise given the experts from United Nations, WHO, Center for Disease Control and Prevention. They've said that it will get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
So in the coming weeks, in the coming days, we're going to experience a spate of rising infections. And also, given that we are a third world country, we don't have the same healthcare infrastructure as the developed world. I mean, if Italy, of all, Italy, a country with a superior economy, better healthcare infrastructure, seems to be overwhelmed. I mean, they shut down a city of 16 million people. It has a population of 60 million. It's a dead. It's a ghost country right now, right? It's isolated, and now imagine it coming to Africa and coming to our country right now. We have poor healthcare infrastructure. We don't have the necessary remedial stuff to treat corona. So, I mean, if malaria and typhoid can overwhelm us, what about coronavirus?
How about the COVID-19? And someone would really be frustrated, and I understand why we have received some messages of people really, they do not even want to talk about this because this patient landed on 5th. That was last week.
Yes.
And up to date, that is now when we know that the virus is already with us.
Yes.
That is laxity. If you ask.
The laxity with the people responsible, I don't say that the government, but let's just say it's the government, definitely shows that there is a gap in trying to mitigate or lack of seriousness, right? Now, to bring this to the fore of how serious it should be handled, if you look at the developed nations, in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson is addressing the nation to calm the people. In the US, President Donald Trump is addressing the people together also with Vice President Mike Pence. In our country, it would inspire more confidence with the citizenry, with the population, if Uhuru Kenyatta addressed us personally, not in a head of state address. That would calm us down instead of delegating it to the CS Mutahi Kagwe, who was actually sworn in probably on the 5th of March.
The same day, actually.
So it would inspire confidence if Uhuru Kenyatta came and he did a state address, flanked with the CS behind him, flanked with health officials, flanked with DP Ruto. It would really inspire, because right now it's like we're all for every man for himself, every woman for himself, because there's a panic. If you've really studied, or if you've really watched and see photos on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, there are people swarming supermarkets buying hand sanitizers, toilet papers,
even shopping,
toiletries, foodstuffs, thinking that we're going to be quarantined or isolated, right? I would be scared. We're in a third world country, part of the global south. It would hit us harder than it hit Italy, UK, Canada. Yes.
Wow.
So
I literally don't know what to say about that.
neither. I was looking for a surgical mask today as I had of the infection. I was thinking now what to do, because now public rallies are being
Being
I think
cancelled.
also church large gatherings. So I believe also the crusade, the National Week of Prayer, which is supposed to be between 16th and 25th, I believe.
It has
It's been cancelled.
too.
So we don't know if also our kids are going to school as going to be cancelled.
Yeah.
And then, in Africa, what also constitutes us being in a third world is informal settlements are inherently crowded. You can't tell us to avoid crowded places. We live in crowded
Yeah,
places,
sure.
all right?
Yeah.
So you can tell people in the developed world not to be in crowded places, right?
But what
Because
about
they
in
live
Kenya?
in Kenya. It's probably in a few neighborhoods that it's not crowded. The rest are informal settlements, are the
Extremely crowded.
biggest
Yeah.
residential areas in our country. So imagine if someone sneezed in Kibera, okay?
Yeah.
Someone in Masabi would be sick because or because of easy transportation. So we are definitely going to bear the brunt of this coronavirus in Africa.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And they pointed out, and the Ministry of Transport and also Ministry of Health came out together today jointly and said that even in the matatus and in all public transport services and vehicles, they're going to provide sanitizers. And even in the churches, they will only continue with their services if they have sanitizers. But here I am. Do you think that is even workable?
You can't monitor.
Yeah.
You can't monitor what people do privately. So I believe, of course, there's going to be some pushback from certain people. I'm sure certain people are not going to be feeling are not going to be compelled to go and douse their hands in any hand sanitizer because of their own reasons, because of their own prejudices. And of course, certain people, you mentioned church, let's be very clear, there are certain people are going to say that we're in the church, we've come to be healed, so clearly that would show that we have weak faith. So that's going to get a lot of pushback because of less understanding of how vital hygiene is in combating coronavirus. I mean, right now, if America, which has a high literacy level, had to talk down that there was a televangelist who had a cure of coronavirus. He had to be talked down to remove it from his website, so as not to cause convey a lot of misinformation about
and even panic.
Yes. Now imagine, because I think in Nigeria, I believe it's in West Africa, Nigeria or Ghana, there's a preacher who said he already has the cure to coronavirus. That's Nigeria, right? All right, so here in Kenya, we're waiting for someone to come and say, hey, you know what, I have the cure then to coronavirus. You don't need to hand sanitize or no need to go check yourself. And then, it's not even clear, the symptoms. Some are saying if you have flu-like symptoms, go to the hospitals. But, we are probably in the neighborhood of April where certain people are going to be, coughing or sneezing.
Just flu?
Flu.
Mild
so
flu?
We do not know.
Yeah.
We will be in a panic situation. Previously, we would see people of Asian descent and we would keep away from them. But now, right now, it's amongst each other. If you see someone coughing, you'll be thinking, okay, that guy probably has coronavirus. If you see a lady coughing, you're probably thinking or sneezing, that lady right there has coronavirus. Let me not do any business with her. It's going to create a lot of panic amongst us.
And victimization is
victimization. Yes. Victimization. So the government has to step in by Uhuru Kenyatta addressing
the nation
by calming us down, because this has affected all and sundry. The Canadian Prime Minister's wife has been affected, has tested positive. The Hollywood titan Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson, the Australian minister this morning, the UK health minister, there was an Iranian minister.
There's a football guy.
Yeah, there are two. For Chelsea and Manchester City, I don't know their names, they're black. So with the infection, that immediately dispelled that it can't affect black people, So we need the president to come and address the nation, because if it can affect the high and mighty, surely this can affect anyone. If it affects, let's say, a leading governor, that living governor won't go for specialized treatment. He or she have to go to Mbagathi or Kenyatta National Hospital. So this is affecting all of us. This is an equalizer.
But do you think even with our health systems, do you think we are ready?
No, of course not. We aren't. We have a really poor health care infrastructure.
That's very sorry, you know?
Yes.
It's a sorry state.
Just last year in Kirinyaga County, health workers had gone on strike. I don't think they've gone back to work, a number of them, right?
No.
Healthcare is paralyzed, except in Karen Hospital or Nairobi Hospital, or Aga Khan.
These are private hospitals.
These are private hospitals. Now, it's not for the hoi polloi of the country. You see, the hoi polloi of the country they only have accessibility to the dispensaries, but also we've had scandals involving healthcare.
Yeah.
Drugs to children, sanitary pads. Surely our healthcare is not capable of mitigating or addressing this with celerity. I mean, if it is paralyzing Italy, surely Italy, of all countries, a leading European economic giant. Now, Sembuse Sisi.
Well, that's very sad.
It is.
But I would tell you this, Kenyans have not received this very well.
We shouldn't.
So others, they're even making and mimicking things about the mask. I've seen a certain photo.
Me too, with a padlock
with a padlock on the nose.
A
and I'm
sufuria.
like, this is extremely serious.
At times levity also calms us down. Levity calms us down. So I believe I wouldn't blame anyone for the jokes. Levity calms us down in certain circumstances. So I'd probably participate in that. No, I wouldn't. But I mean, I get how they would want to infuse comedy in such a serious issue. Just to probably make us laugh. But I'm sure they're aware of the seriousness. They're not trying to downplay its importance or its seriousness or its, its impact.
Yeah.
Because I read globally the stocks have really dropped. In Asia, in Japan, a leading Asian economy, have dropped. UK, the stocks, I think in the US, 82% of the stocks are really dropped now, and those are economic giants. Now us, imagine telling us to quarantine or isolate ourselves, not to go outside and make and probably look for cash or go to work. What?
Look at our culture. That is basically impossible.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm sure many people are going to overlook that. They're still going to look for bread. I will not blame them. Yes, they're still going to look for money to pay school fees for their kids. They're still going to send their children to school. They're still going to travel, sneeze and hug each other, touch on each other, and definitely not have gloves or hand sanitizer. I wanted to say something. I think I had a health official, senior health official in our country say we should buy hand sanitizers, or probably we should invest in them right now. But that is not for the proletariat, the majority of the people in the country. That's a luxury. People live hand to mouth. Exactly. Majority of the people in our country are that poor. A hand sanitizer, no, they have no idea what that is. What they want is food at the end of the day. So that's a luxury. I believe it's 200 shillings and it's probably 150 ml. And there are people who live on 80 shillings per day for a family of 10. So surely that is a luxury. The government had more time. But after this, I hope we learn. Because this can get anyone, to be honest. It does not discriminate, the coronavirus. It doesn't discriminate the high and mighty and also the low and the behold. Yes.
So Kenyans are dashing around the supermarkets. Have you seen the videos and
yes,
and
I
photos
have.
on Facebook?
The photos, the videos, I haven't.
People are full, extremely full in the supermarkets
Yes.
and they're restocking and stocking up their food stuff. This is already a panic mode.
Yeah, it is.
For many Kenyans.
It is.
Yeah.
I would understand. It is. You don't know. And because, everyone at the back of their mind, subconsciously, that government isn't as accountable as developed nations' government. So that there's a laxity when it comes to this, in addressing this issue, because we actually had more time in being stringent. I mean, look at Rwanda, a smaller country than even Central Province, the formerly known Central Province, right? They have really, it's a landlocked country. They have really managed to mitigate entry of people, and they are vetting anyone coming from outside their borders, be it an African or an African.
Yeah.
Because they are clear crystal that they understand even their health infrastructure is not as superior as America's, so it won't be able to contain the casualties and the infections. Because in Italy, I had read that there's a certain area where the older generation, I believe, people from the septuagenarians, octogenarians, nonagenarians, 70 to 90-year-olds, right? They're being left to die because either they've lived their lives. Let's attend to younger people first, because they're the most vulnerable age group with the coronavirus. So that's Italy.
Yeah.
Okay, now imagine
in Kenya.
Now how
this is clearly a disaster.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
All right. Continue sending in your comments and questions and your contribution to this discussion. And as for now, we went to the streets and asked you if you are prepared when it comes to this coronavirus issue. And this is what you had to say. Listen up.
Maradhi ni mtihani. Hakuna mtu anayezuia maradhi. Sisi ile kitu ambayo tunajipanga, tuombe Mungu atuondolee haya maradhi.
Nasema kwamba tunakona wasiwasi mwingi sana, maana mambo au uongozi ambao tumepewa na serikali hautoshi kabisa.
Kujipanga ile najipanga ni kupitia ile elimu tunasikia tukielimishwa kuhusu usafi na kuangalia mazingira yetu, mahali mtu anapokaa, mahali anapoishi, na pia wakati uko karibu na watu wengi, unajua vile unakaa mbali na wao.
Njia rahisi ni kumpeleka hospitali. Nasikia ile kitu atakayofanya madaktari wenyewe ndio wanafanya nini, wanatibu, Mungu anaponya.
Well, that is what you had to say about the virus and the reporting of the very first case in our country. But as the last person said, let us just leave it to God now, because the virus is already here. Yes? All right. We have Jared Odhiambo. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Yasema, I'm just listening and I'm disappointed in our governance, because at the end of the day, they allowed it. That's very sad. All right, let's move on. And I still have Mr. Kabugi in studio. So, sir, let's talk about the deputy president for some time.
Okay.
Just the other day, there is a section of members of parliaments and, politics in our country is just something that goes on day in, day out, and they came out to say that the deputy president should resign.
Yeah.
And they were pointing out clearly that he is not in support of what the president is pushing for, despite the fact that he is supposed to be a helping hand to the president. It's really unfortunate that we have reached that point as a country.
Yes.
Yeah? So if I would ask you, do you think the deputy president should resign?
That's a good question. And then those MPs were ODM MPs, solely majorly ODM MPs with Jubilee allied MPs who are sympathetic towards Raila Odinga, right?
Yeah.
And so when they made that announcement, what caught my eye was there were two MPs that read the statement. It was read by Baringo Women Representatives Gladwell Cheriot and the Kadhiani MP Robert Mbui. Now, if you look at the optics involved with Gladwell Cheriot was, in our ethnic-centered politics, they had to have someone to read that damning statement that the deputy president ought to be, impeached or resign because of public misconduct, because the optics had this lady, because she comes from the backyard of Ruto.
Yeah.
So it's giving the optics that everyone else wants this guy to resign from government. But if you ask me, if Ruto is being accused of gross misconduct, he was elected on a joint ticket with Uhuru Kenyatta. And so if he is being accused, the buck doesn't stop with him, to be honest. Whether you like him or not, the buck stops with the president. He is but number two. any criticism against him is an indictment against Uhuru Kenyatta.
president, yeah.
And then for Ruto to have said, he tweeted thereafter that he has stood with Uhuru Kenyatta 4 times. The first time, Uhuru Kenyatta ran for president in 2002,
Yeah.
and then in 2013. And then there is a rumor somewhere that he actually forfeited his presidential ambitions to be a running mate to Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013, right? And also 2017. August,
Yes.
and then the October 26 repeat elections.
Yeah.
So those are 4 times that Ruto has actually been loyal to
To the president.
the president,
Yep.
financially and politically. They had created a camaraderie that was even noted as a bromance that we've never seen before in our country, right? So I wouldn't say he ought to resign, and I don't think the numbers also favor the impeachment threats. If you ask me, you know, you need 2/3 of the National Assembly and also the Senate to
Yeah.
impeach the president or the deputy president.
Yeah.
Previously, we had the calls by, at the time, CORD leader,
Yeah.
Raila Odinga. At the time, right now, it's NASA leader and AU, you know, representative for infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
So by the time CORD leader, they said they wanted to impeach Uhuru Kenyatta, right? But they didn't have the numbers. But if you study keenly the modus operandi of impeachment threats against anyone in power, it
Yeah.
doesn't go through. It cannot go through. You need 2/3 of it. And then every other time, the impeachment threats are being beaten,
Yeah.
his national profile rises. I wouldn't write him off. If
Yeah.
you, in a world where, you know, in a country where unemployment right now is rising by the day, right? And Ruto has perfected the narrative of hustler and the son of a peasant
Yeah.
with no famous last name. And then every other time, and I've seen a full clip of Ruto in a church, you know, we usually get the news beat where he talks for probably 2 minutes, you know, spewing rhetoric on politics against his opponents.
Yeah.
But every time, if you've seen a full clip, it was shared online once, it was live on one of the leading media stations. Before he gets on to the pulpit or the lectern, he usually leads people in a chorus, or he prays, and then he gives a testimony, and then he gives a small sermonette. So he endears himself to the people, and then he has fashioned himself as someone who's easily accessible.
Yeah.
You see, he mingles with the people, and then in all of this humiliation, from overt humiliation and condescending from, you know, his party leader,
Yeah.
Uhuru Kenyatta, he has never once overtly thrown a diatribe against Uhuru Kenyatta. He's always throwing it at
Against the
his,
opposition.
No,
Yep.
either against Raila Odinga or his allies. Never at once has he ever thrown anything against Uhuru Kenyatta. He's always seemed to be meek, very humble, and very subservient in the presence of Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yep.
He always doesn't want to miss a step. You know, a background dancing. You see, he's always lock and step behind Uhuru
The
Kenyatta.
president.
So he's also communicating and conveying, if anything happens, if he's ever impeached, likely not, he won't be impeached, but if it goes through, his popularity will definitely skyrocket. Because remember in 2005, when Kibaki fired Raila Odinga and the people that supported the No campaign,
Yeah.
Raila Odinga's influence solidified before 2007 elections nationally, right?
Yeah.
There's that sympathy vote you have. These are people who helped you make the government into two when you had the accident. And also for Uhuru Kenyatta, if he doesn't back, if he backs the endorsement by being quiet, because remember a few weeks ago, just last week, he saved Sonko from being impeached. If Ruto is impeached, he would come. I mean, how will it look? To be honest, without Ruto, Uhuru would not have been president. I think Uhuru brought 2.3 million votes.
Ruto brought a lot.
3 point something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
3 point something, you know. So, and this guy is a politician. So without that number, he would not have been president.
Yeah.
And so if it goes through, or if they continue badgering Ruto, his popularity will go through. And remember, this guy travels, has made over 200 trips ever since the year began. And we're on day 71 or 72, over 200 trips to churches, to schools. And his rhetoric has never been divisive, in the sense of he's not abusive or insulting to the president.
Yeah.
He may be abusive and insulting to anyone else, but not the president, right? And then also, I mean, if he could manage an entry and an invite to Kene's burial, and he invoked sympathy, yet there were
after all the drama behind that,
he
the
invoked
death of
sympathy,
Kene,
right? He invoked sympathy, and then previously during Moi's burial, he actually was the one who received the most applause before addressing crowd. In that, when they were in that marquee, as Moi's body lay in state, he received the most applause. It's because of this narrative that he has created. I'm a hustler son, or I'm a hustler, from chicken seller to where I am right now, deputy president.
It's hard work.
That's something that you'd want your children to emulate, though it's questionable how he rose from that, right?
From all that.
But all in all, who isn't questionable in power in our country? Let's call a spade.
Someone would say the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, that is basically old money.
It is.
It is old money. Compared
definitely.
to the deputy president, he's a hustler. He has so much sympathy votes. Let me call it that way, from the common mwananchi. But again, someone would argue all this is just coming up as a result of the BBI fight.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's resulting from the BBI, and that's why we have leaders, the opposition leaders, and even some of his supporters, some of the Jubilee supporters actually want him to step down. Yeah,
but I think they're going by the tide, and they're choosing probably where their bet is battered, or is going to be battered in 2022. Because if the calls on corruption are the main reason for Ruto to step down, then surely, to be honest, if we had used Chapter 6 as Atoli has demanded, then I think we wouldn't have a government, right? We wouldn't have a government. Everyone has been indicted in corruption or alleged to be involved in corruption, right? Everyone, including their own mother, you see, right? So I wouldn't say it's fair to accuse Ruto of corruption and then leave everyone else out of it, right?
Yeah.
And also, when you mentioned BBI, if you ask me, who I think talks the real talk when it comes to BBI is Francis Atwoli and Anne Waiguru.
Yes.
Particularly because they're political neophytes. They don't have the political smartness to sugarcoat or sell this as a ploy to uplift the people. Because Raila does it perfectly well. He's talking about BBI will grow the economy. He'll talk about BBI will create opportunities for the youth. We do not know, but he may even say BBI will probably even cure this coronavirus. Let's just skip it. we have no idea. But he has this political smartness, right? But here, Francis Atwoli is talking about we need to expand. We need to expand the executive. Waiguru is talking about we need gender equality. Every other seat, regional governors here and there, and then and then she always updates. She's talking about this is the real deal. We want people seats for every community in the country. I'm thinking, okay, should I have the political smarts? So it won't go through, given the high unemployment rate in our country. Now people are cognizant that you're creating positions for the serving elite, while everyone else suffers. No, it won't go through.
Wow. We have someone who's texting in, Paul Ndumbi. Well, Ruto is feeding off the vulnerability of Kenyan voters because of poverty and politics of exclusion. Remember, this is where Raila was in 2007 and 2013 as the voice of the poor, in quotes. And then Ruto wants to mock him off that pitch. Only people being played as Kenyans need to wake up.
Yes, and I know that guy. That's Paul Ndubi. That's my friend.
So, oh, thank you so much, Paul.
So it's true. Those are my pointers. Anyway, so
Paul. Anyway,
it is true. I mean, Ruto has fashioned himself as someone who is not from a prominent family, and that probably is what Uhuru Kenyatta. You see, like, okay, I know I'm from the most prominent family in our country, but you don't have to say it to my face every other time, right? And then Ruto, and then if you notice, Ruto as PR is stepping out of his convoy, walking to a lady who's selling boiled maize and buying it for himself and also buying it for other people. And then, case in point, something that people haven't noticed. If you look at a good number of the main people that are surrounding Ruto in this campaign, save for Alice Ohome, are young serving legislators.
Yeah.
Mohamed Ali Nyali MP, Kiaru MP, Ndindi Nyoro. I'm talking about Kimani Chungwa, Kikuyu MP, right? These are people below 45 or below. I know Ndindi Nyoro is in his early 30s. I think not yet 35.
Yeah.
He's even recently married, right? So these are people who are surrounding the deputy
With
president, younger people, whilst the older, whilst Raila is being surrounded by Francis Atwoli.
Yeah.
Or being surrounded by who else? And
Let's say Raila Odinga.
Yeah, Raila Odinga is being surrounded by Francis Atwoli, Governor Naiguru. Governor Naiguru only has power because she's not in the boys' club. She's not. She doesn't have that national appeal outside Raila Odinga. It's Raila Odinga who laundered her politically. So, and then, mind you, as we approach 2022, there are going to be political realignments. It's not as it is right now.
Yeah, sure.
It's not going to hold as it is up until 2022. Are you going to tell me these governors who are serving their last term are going to forfeit their presidential ambitions for Raila's 5th stab at the presidency?
No. That's not possible.
It isn't.
We already have people who are saying
Exactly. Wycliffe Oparanya, Kivutha Kibwana, Alfred Mutua, Amason Kingi, Ali Hassan Joho have all declared that they want to run for presidency 2022. Are they going to forfeit their candidacies?
No, I don't think
are they
so.
Are they going to say, okay, you know what? Let me either be
lay back because I have to support him. No.
They are going to be titanic, gargantuan political realignments as we approach 2022.
Yeah.
Certain people are going to come back to Ruto's fold, and then certain people are going to stay within Raila's camp, right? There's going to be an exchange, like as it is every time before we approach there.
Yeah.
But this time, I believe that it will favor Ruto than it will favor Raila. Yes.
All right. We also asked you if you think the Deputy President, William Ruto, should resign or not. And this is what you had to say.
Hakuna mtu sio muisi. Hawa wakubwa wote ni waisi. Hakuna mtu sio muisi. So wasianze kusema Ruto ni muisi. Hakuna kwa hawa wakubwa wote, hakuna mtu mwenye sio muisi. Ruto alipromisiwa na Uhuru ya kwamba 10 years yeye. Alafu sisi wote tukasupport Uhuru. Alafu saa hii ni Ruto. Hakuna mtu mwingine.
Kenya hii mahali tunalekea kila kona kuna ufisadi. So hatuwezi amini kama kwamba hizo vituko zilifanyika. So tuachie serikali wafanye uchunguzi yao. Kama ni impeachment ifanyike baada ya judiciary kuzungulika kwa kila jambo.
Unajua, to be honest, Kenya is a constitutional country, a country that respects the rule of law. So you cannot ask somebody to resign if you do not have the exact evidence to pin this person down.
Aweza wakajaji somebody ikiwa ati maybe hajapatikana na hatia, but ukweli ni kwamba hakuna kitu kinaweza fanyika kwa nyumba yako kama ujue.
Well, I like the point that was raised by the First Lady, who pointed out very clearly that it was a promise that was made by the President himself to the Deputy President. So, Mr. James Kibugi, the lady said that the President promised Deputy President that after 10 years, then we are going to support you. Why change of events right now?
You know, it's on record several times that he actually promised Deputy President 10 years. And obviously the political realignments are suspected because Uhuru wants to extend his term as Prime Minister, right? This is all speculative from what Francis Atwoli has said and from what when he had that meeting at Sagana State Lodge with the Mount Kenya leaders, Mount Kenya legislators. He said, if people want me to be the Prime Minister after 2022, well, be it. So obviously he probably thinks with Ruto's candidacy or ambition, you can't tame Ruto. He's not going to obviously to give him, it's the opposite. I won't look good with him. And then remember, the handshake only involved two people, Uhuru and Raila only. And
which was also a very tensed political time in our country.
at the time,
Yeah.
it meant well, probably, but as it matured, it was all about isolating an individual. You see, in political realignments or in the game of politics, you're supposed to identify an enemy. In developed nations, the enemy are issues, poverty, lack of healthcare, certain stuff. In our country, is an individual. For the longest time, it was Raila Odinga, the common enemy, where he was blamed for everything, including diseases. He'll blame for everything, right? But right now, it's Ruto, the common enemy. He's going to be blamed for everything. I'm sure now that the BBI rallies have actually been terminated until we sort this coronavirus, I'm sure there's going to be an MP who's going to say it's Ruto who probably brought that lady from London.
Politics has a lot of background, and people just come up with information every other day.
Every other time, just for ingest. So it's not going for Uhuru to change his mind. It's because he's overtly, because right now he says Iran can be president, I don't know who, overtly conveying a message to Ruto that I don't support your presidential ambitions.
Sure.
I really don't support your presidential ambitions. He's not yet come to defend Ruto from being attacked by MPs. And mind you, it's also suspicious. The MPs are telling Ruto to respect Uhuru, are the MPs who a few years ago were calling Uhuru everything but a son of God. So it really, it's really, it is, I mean, Junet Mohammed, the Suna East MP, is a really fierce defender of Uhuru Kenyatta. You wouldn't have said that in 2017 or 2013.
No, because again, he was in the opposition side.
Babuino too, fierce defender of Uhuru Kenyatta, and was there calling for Ruto to, you wouldn't have said that in 2017 after his proclamation of the time he was harassed by the security forces, right? And so it's going to be unfair because I don't think Ruto has actually insulted Uhuru Kenyatta.
No,
he's not gone below the belt. He's not even disrespected Uhuru Kenyatta. You see, he's attacking his allies, but he's not even disrespected. He always refers to him as the party boss. He always refers to him as the president in state addresses. He's always eating the humble pie, even as he's being humiliated. You remember when the BBI was launched last year? Even when he's being humiliated, he's always taking it in his stride because he probably knows something that we don't know. And that's a hustler narrative, is endearing himself to more people than probably the opposition thinks.
All right, you know what I like about this, and let me say this as we go for a break. What I like is that he's really downplayed everything.
Yes.
He's not come out to be that person. He's not giving the reaction we expect.
Yes,
he's not blown it out of proportion.
Yeah.
Okay, we're taking a short break. You can join this discussion. The WhatsApp number is 0786316316. SMS line 203-165. We are live on Family TV and also live on Family Radio, where the music does the talking. My name is Sarah Otieno, and we are live on This Is The Day. And I have in studio James Kabugi, who is a political analyst. And we're just recapping and reviewing what has been making headline in our country across the week. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Kabugi. It was really shocking when I saw the revelation that as much as we do not have blood in our country, there is literally a very big crisis when it comes to blood in our country, and our blood banks are empty. We still have cartels who are selling blood to other countries. Where did humanity go to?
That reminds me of, you remember when the Chief Justice, Dr. Willy Mutunga, was leaving office, he said his parting shot was Kenya is being run by cartels, right? By thugs, by thugs in suits. So it's like in our country, in other democracies, the developed democracies, this would cause for people, heads to roll, and people to be incarcerated. But it's like we are inured to this. No one is yet shaken or, shocked by the temerity of people selling blood to Somalia, despite our blood bank running dry. That's a human right? It's in a poor healthcare infrastructure. So the humanity here in this case is it's been aided by the people at the top. If the people at the top are not condemning it in the strongest terms possible, you can even steal a kidney from a child and sell it to an adult. Yes, because you're thinking the focus isn't on the crime, the focus is always on the personality. Let's assume this person, the cartel is paraded, and then they are caught by the DCI and told that these are the people who are involved in the in the selling of the blood,
yeah.
Somalia. I'm so sure there are going to be politicians who are going to come and say, this is one of us who's being targeted by...
Yeah, because again, someone would ask, okay, it's under investigation. Then what?
I personally don't expect much from this, because in previous cases we've not gotten any convictions or any punishment regarding corruption. I think it's just lip service, just to give them a warning that now we know, please halt it, or probably do it on a lower scale, but you continue doing what you're doing, but just do it on a lower scale,
Yeah.
or just stop it. There's going to be there's a healthcare crisis, but you can continue doing what you're doing. And these are powerful people, by the way.
Yeah.
These are powerful people. These are people who are well connected, well managed. These are people who live in the suburbs. These are people whose children go to school in Switzerland. These are people who shop in Singapore. These are people who run the economy of our country.
Yeah.
Yes.
But who is to blame? These cases are, considering that a common mwananchi might take their child to the hospital, and mind you, if you cannot donate blood for that child, I've seen many cases. We've seen them on social media. People appealing for blood.
Yes.
But we have people who go to our schools, give them bread and soda, and I remember during the radio show, someone actually just pointed out that it's very unfortunate that they actually target the schools where young blood know that they're going to save lives.
Yeah.
For that loaf and soda.
Yeah.
And instead of using this in the purpose that it's needed for, then it now becomes a business. So who is to blame?
Let's be very honest, without batting an eyelid. Who is to blame? It's whoever runs the government. You see, whoever runs the government is to blame.
Yeah.
If anything had happened in my household, if someone had come, if my child had run, if my child's behavior wasn't right, I'm the one to blame. As responsibility rather has to fall on my feet as the father, as the head of the house, right, and as the man of the house, right. Now, in this case, it's the one who runs the government. You see, the country cannot be run by cartels, yet we have the one who heads the government. There has to be a conscience in anyone who runs the government. If we are moved by the stories of people who are dying or who are in dire need of blood, but they can't get it, how much more of that one person who runs the government, who has seen how dire, who gets reports every day and briefings every day on how dire the nation is when it comes to security, healthcare, when it comes to everything else. Someone has to have a conscience in how to run the country.
Okay.
You see, this runs deeper than any political affiliation, than any political preference, than anything. It runs deeper. This runs deep within our veins.
All right.
Literally.
We have someone else, someone who texted in. Hello, my name is Shiko. This blood issue just gets to my nerves. It is the reason why I stopped donating blood as a common citizen, because I do it for the good of someone else, but instead it backfires. You see, these are some of the reasons as to why actually Kenyans are not interested in donating blood again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And right now you go to the centers, where the donation centers, the numbers are extremely low.
Yes.
Despite the fact that we know there is no blood.
Yes. You see, it's not being addressed. If someone at the top had come to condemn it in the strongest terms possible, if someone had come, had given a statement that heads must roll, then I'd also be on the line to donate blood, right? But it's because you can tell that it's not going to the proper use. It's going to be sold in Somalia. We have really we're really being overtaken by events when it comes to corruption right now.
Let me tell you something. I have a friend whose child needed blood
Uh-huh.
about 3 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
And that mother, because she's a mother, you know, she went to the hospital and literally had to beg the nurses to get blood for that kid, because I think it was only 1 pint that was remaining in the blood bank of that time. She literally had to beg, and she was saying her story, and it went to an extent of even bribing them so that the child could get that blood. You know, that is very unfortunate. And looking at these cases, then you clearly wonder where our conscience has gone to.
I wouldn't say it's us. I would say the one who runs the government is the one who will be judged the most. To whom much is given, much is expected. You know, at the end of the day, there has to be some fear instilled in whoever. There is one who runs the government, but there is one who created the universe right there. I'd be scared of Judgment Day. If I was the one running the government, I'd be really scared. If these stories come to my desk every single day and I'm not doing anything about it, I'd be really scared. Yet you have the wherewithal to actually put a stop to it. I'd be really scared. Now, that story of that mother, it's touching. I don't even know your friend, but I'm already empathetic towards that situation, right? Now, but whoever is running the government, it is incumbent upon him to rein in on who is doing all these injustices and to have the fear of God, at least in this case.
I mean, this is a kid.
Yeah, this is a kid.
Anyway, thank you so much for your response. Your name is Sarah from Naivasha. That is my friend there. Thank you so much. And then we went to the streets and asked you if you have ever been in that position where you are in dire need of blood, and what you feel about this case where Kenyans, where people in power in our country are actually selling blood to Somalia. And this is what you had to say.
Ni jambo la kuhuzunisha sana, kwa sababu hata wakati watu wanapotoa damu, because unakuwa na mgonjwa hospitali, unaenda unaambiwa ya kwamba mgonjwa anahitaji paindi 2, pengine mmeenda watu 2 watatu, mnakusanya hiyo damu, na mnaposikia ya kwamba hii damu tena inapata pale pengine ya kupelekwa, badala ya kuwafaidi wa Kenya ama wale waliotoa, ni jambo la kuhuzunisha sana. Ni dhambi kubwa mbele ya Mungu na istahili kutamkwa hata kidogo.
Mbaya sana, ni mbaya sana, because our patients were supposed to be given those bloods and not actually to sell them to other countries.
Kisa ambayo tunayo Kenya hii sana sana ni ufisadi. Wakenya wanadonate damu, lakini unakuta baadaye kuenda hospitali kupewa damu ni gumu, ni nadra. Sababu gani? Damu imekuwa expensive, hatujui inaenda pande gani, hatujui wanafanya nayo nini. Lakini sisi kama Wakenya tumejitolea, tunatoanga damu kila wakati.
Well, clearly this is something that a lot of Kenyans are not very happy about, because especially if the prices are high and if we donate, it's being sold. That is unfortunate. Well, we have about a couple of minutes to the end of the show, but I want us to discuss about something, Mr. Kabuki. The issue of bursaries. There has been a lot of claims that this money from the bursaries are being channeled to personal accounts of our MCAs. We've heard the story of Kitusuri, member of County Assembly, who actually came out and
denied
and disputed every claim that was pointed out there.
This is after the footage Mike Sonko shared on his Facebook page, right?
Yes.
So here it goes to the same issue that people are running roughshod, doing as they please to enrich themselves at the expense and the backs of poor people, because it's not being punished, it's not being taken seriously at the top. And if it was taken seriously at the top, you'd be scared. You'd be scared of even stealing a cent from anyone. Now, this is money meant for the poor of Nairobi, the dirt poor of Nairobi, right? The people who don't have meals to eat at night, people who probably have been declared, their future has been declared null and void by society. Why not for the bursary funds? But yet we have people who've been alleged to have squandered this cash meant for the poor. This is not the first time this has happened. Years ago, 2011, there was a councillor at the time under the old constitution who was arrested at City Hall. At the time, the city City Hall. At the time, it was under Philip Kisia, the town clerk. And then he said, as he was being bungled to the car to be taken to Kileleshwa police station, right? And then he said, hii ufisadi haitaimalizika Kenya. Ukitaka kujua haitaimalizika.
And you know, that is a leader speaking
that is a leader, and he was re-elected. You know, so at the time, that was in 2011 when he was arrested. He was re-elected in 2013. I don't know if he was re-elected in 2017. But so I actually think it runs deeper. This probably never existed in the previous administration, but because newer people are seeing no one is being punished for corruption, let us make money, let us be, you know, let us hide our, you know, let's cover our eyes and ears, let us make money however, even if it's stealing from the poor. After all, they've all stolen from the poor.
They're only waiting for the 5 years to end.
And then they'll come and lie to the proletariat and say, you know what, I was fighting for you, you, and everyone else, right? So unless the condemnation comes from the top, non-partisan condemnation, like even if, you know that time when Rukitata said even if his own brother is listed as corrupt, he'd actually sacrifice him into the judicial guillotine, right? You know, but then we need such talk that even if my own child is even named in this corruption, then let that child be punished, not at the expense of the legacy. Now, in this case, Sonko has tried to distance himself by outing this.
Providing evidence.
Right? So this Kitisuru MCA has something to answer, but if we are to go with what is happening right now, if this Kitisuru MCA is pro-BBI, then for sure, nothing will be done unto him. Yes.
All right, but do you know they will? Do you think they'll reach a time in our country where bursaries, and especially for those who really need it in our country, will be accessible to them?
Yes, I pray so. I pray so. You know, we are entering into an era of accessibility to knowledge and information, and also transparency and accountability is being pronounced, right? In the era of technology, right? So there's going to be a time where people can call out, people can call out corruption or malfeasance of public funds to the point that those in power are forced to be accountable. So there's going to be a time where people are going to have leniency, or, you know, there's going to be transparency in the allocation of bursary funds to the poor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And someone would argue maybe it should not be a devolved unit anymore. Maybe it should not be done in the county basis and the MCAs. What I ruled in national government.
That is dependent. You know, that's neither here nor there. I mean, that's probably, I prefer it devolved because of the touch between the grassroots, and because of that limited touch, or rather that communication between the grassroots and the ones who are representing them. So it's not that the national government is not corrupt either. So, you know, national and devolved governments are equally corrupt, right? So you can't say either or. It's the systems. Yes. It's the people and the systems that you put, not the governance structure that matters.
I just pray and hope that those in need of this money are going to get them at some point.
I do. I hope so too.
Yeah.
Though I'm not really, you know, holding my breath for that.
All right. Until we make our system straight, then we need to actually just put it in line.
Until someone is punished. You see, someone is punished, and not just any kind of punishment, but painful punishment. I'm talking about life imprisonment for someone who's stolen a child's future, you know.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. James.
You're welcome
for coming today. That has been James Kabugi, a political analyst. And thank you so much for tuning in to This Is The Day. I will see you on Monday. Take care of yourself, and please research and know the measures and ways that you can help prevent coronavirus from reaching you. Thank you so much. My name is Sarah Otieno. I will see you on Monday.